I will run the intro.
Okay,
And then when the intro pops off, then it'll be you and me.
done.
Sound like a plan?
Let's hear. Let's do it.
All right, brother.
All right.
Just kidding.
I knew you were. I saw you move.
That's good stuff.
I don't know why that never gets old for some reason.
The old
Uh,
frozen hand.
you know what's funny with that, buddy, is I saw a TikTok or something the other day where some guy was explaining that if you're on a Zoom meeting and you don't have an answer for when somebody asks you something, you just do the frozen look, like
That's
give you
right.
give you time to come up with an answer, or reach the other hand up and click end. And say, I don't know what happened. It just froze and went away. That was pretty
Just
funny.
start hitting the mute button on your microphone about every 3 words, and they're gonna be like, "Your microphone's messed up." And I,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. It'd be
yeah,
great. Hey, sometimes you gotta have plans.
that's
You gotta be
right.
prepared. So how you
That's
doing,
good.
brother?
I'm doing great. I'm here, so my oxygen habit is going full strength, and yeah, I'm loving life.
That's awesome. We
How
look
about
good, man.
yourself?
Well, I'm doing good. It's a work from home week, which I needed after about 3.5 weeks out of the last four. I was running and gunning, and more to come. So, just living the life of the hybrid road warrior, But
It's always good watching your airport videos. I love seeing your socks in the on the plane and laid out on the bed, getting ready to prepare for the next day.
yeah, I one of my favorite things to do is sock selection. I don't know why that's exciting to me, but I put more time into it than you might think. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I literally, if I need five pair, I grab six in case I lose a pair somewhere or something. But you know, and I just throw them in the bag and I go. But I have certain select ones that sometimes I wear. So I'll wear my airplane socks when I fly sometimes, but I don't want to do that every time because I fly a lot. That would get redundant, right? But um, I wear my Andy's candy socks, and then I can send a picture to my second oldest granddaughter because she got those for me. Say, hey, look what Papa's wearing today at 30,000 feet. She gets a kick out of that. But yeah, selecting socks is important. I've been really practicing what we've talked about this before, but I've been really practicing the leave my shoes at the door pointed in the right direction to the elevator lately because I forgot to do that. Uh, where was I? I know it was in Nashville for the LBM Advantage show. I forgot to do that. And anybody that's ever been to Opryland in Nashville, once you're lost, you just lost for like 4 to 8 days. Sometimes, they send the police after you, the National Guard, and everybody. It's crazy in that place if you get lost. Anyway, but I forgot to do what I usually try to do, which is set my shoes pointed to the elevator. So I walk out the door. I'm convinced, as you always are, it's down the hallway to the left. Well, it was to the left, but it was down the hallway the other way to the left. And so I wandered for a while, found my way back. So now I'm back to setting my shoes with my socks in them for the next morning by the door, which is very helpful, to be honest.
You know what I've noticed that you say that, and now that I think about it, I bet you 90+% of the time my where I'm going is left. And that's
Yeah.
weird. I mean, I don't know how that could possibly be. Yeah, that it's almost always left. That now that I
Huh?
think about it, I mean, every hotel I've been in, I mean, I always
Interesting.
feel like I go left.
Yeah. Well, maybe you just go left and you go in circles until you find the elevator.
That's great. So, have you ever counted how many custom pairs of socks you have?
I haven't, but I know this. I've been instructed by the Dixie chick that the next two or three pair of cool socks that I get, whether I buy them myself or every once in a while one of my kids or grandkids gets me some, or I've even had time to have calling for customer friends or people have sent me a pair of socks. Uh, I have to go through the sock drawer now because the sock drawer is like the proverbial suitcase in the hotel where you sit on it to get it shut. I'm like shoving things down and then shoving it shut and then shoving them down and shoving. Just I got too many. So
You might
I
want to
probably
know.
a hundred pair.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. They make a lot of under the bed storage. With the rolling plastic bins. Maybe you should do that and like start putting your stocks in one of those. They I used to work with a company that called socks deal breakers, and
Hmm.
they would have these wild socks on with suit, and the socks didn't even match. But that was like if you got a pair of the deal breakers, it meant that you had done something big. Uh,
Okay.
all the people that had like the deal breakers when they would like hike their sock up their pants up, you'd always see those wild socks. Yeah, so yeah, and I'm sure you probably do have some deal breakers among your many socks.
So
But
there's some weird ones, and I don't do. I think I have a pair of polka dot ones. Uh, I think they're. I think it is teal a blue color, or am I wrong? Teal's kind of
teal is
blue.
kind of green, bluish green.
Green. Okay. They're probably teal with pink polka dots. And I know that's just incredibly odd, but I have them and every once in a while I put them on. I once in a while I put some thought into the sock with the slacks and the shirt. Only if I'm going to be at an event where maybe I'm speaking or introducing somebody or something, or I'm wearing a sport coat and it's a little more buttoned up, if you will. Um, but outside of that, I grab the first pair out of my bag in the morning and I put them on regardless of what I'm wearing. So they may not match at all. But I think that's the whole unique part of that, right?
Yeah,
And
that was the deal breaker part. Is
yeah,
it was like you put them on because they're deal breakers, and I've seen a lot of kids that have pictures of a face or their dog's face, and
hmm,
it's covered all the way up, and that I kind of like those too. Maybe
yeah.
I'll get you some food stealer, bodyguard, producer, director socks that have my mug on them for you.
Man, oh man, that'd be awesome. Well, you know what I've been thinking about too is it's popular amongst kids to wear mismatched socks. In other words, they don't even match at all, right? They're just totally
Right.
different. And I thought about doing that once in a while too, just for fun. Now, sometimes I could do that right now because I probably over the years I can't throw them away because I just get attached to them. So I've probably got 4 or 5 single socks, so I could put two together and do that. I thought about doing that sometimes. The other part is I thought about coming up with my own themes. Like I have Oreo cookie ones, but then get one that's got a box of milk on it. Because who doesn't like Oreo cookies and milk, right? So wear one of each, and then the next day I can wear the other ones. I get right.
If you start doing that, there's going to be people talking. They're going to be like, "Randy's losing it." Yeah.
Well, I'll just confirm what they already suspect, right?
And if
But
you
think
guys
about it.
haven't already come in, this is Sock Talk with Randy
Yeah,
and Wes.
exactly. It's a whole new series. It's amazing.
That's right.
But think about it: pizza and beer. I mean, there's all kinds of
You
cool
could get
little.
our buddy Eric Bamman on that one. He
Yeah,
probably knows somebody that definitely has the pizza socks. And if he
here
listens
we
to
go.
this, you're going to get a set. I guarantee it.
We got it done because think about it. We got Eric Bama Pizza, and we got Tim Lord, another great buddy that his Boston Impressions designs labels for all the microbrews throughout New England. There we go.
Yeah, we'll have to message them and get this
Yeah,
happening because I
yeah,
think we got a Reese cup idea here. The peanut butter is going to meet the chocolate.
exactly, exactly. Oh, I love it. But how it just made me think this 3.5 minute conversation or more on socks, which is
Sock
just
talk. Yeah,
really weird. But you know what that proves, though, bud? Is that when you, and of course, we're good friends and pals and buddies, but there's always something to talk about. So when people say, well, I don't have anything to talk about, or, yeah, I saw this guy sitting at the bar and we just both sitting there staring at our phones and, what do you want? I don't know, talk about your socks. I mean, there's always something to talk about because we just wasted 5 minutes talking about stupid socks, right? So
that's right.
there's,
That's right.
there's, there's always something to talk about. But I don't know. I think I might have told you the story, and then we can get off of socks. But I got a good customer of mine, and his wife, who I know well, is also sent me a couple pair of socks, cool socks, way back when I first started talking about them more. And I made a big deal and thanked her and was, made kind of a big deal on social media about him and yada, yada, yada. And I was in seeing my customer friend and he goes, so, says, you and my wife. So she's buying you socks now, huh? I go, I knew he was joking. I says, well, Jim, yes. But unless she's buying me boxers, you don't need to worry.
That's right.
Oh man, but good stuff. It's just fun. But speaking of the elevators and stuff, you and I've been doing our podcast together, but we haven't had much other conversation. But I've been running like a crazy dog, man, in at trade shows in Oklahoma City and Knoxville, or not Knoxville, Nashville, uh, Columbus, Cincinnati, Detroit. I mean, I've been all over the place for stuff, and it's been running and gunning again. And it's interesting because from an industry standpoint, uh, it's heating up, man. People are excited. People seem to be, even with all the all the domestic and world issues that are happening. Um, People are pretty engaged and pretty much like, hey, well, we're going to go ahead and put a roof on or build our barn out back, some place to put the boat and the ATV and a couple horses. And, I mean, it seems like it's going to be a good year from a business standpoint. So if anybody's still hung in there to listen to any business talk after the sock talk, there's been some really good pluses with the travels lately, and going to be. I don't have any travel for about another week, and then I'll be back to the airport gig again. So I'm hoping that the uh, the TSA line issues get cleared up before I travel again. But
Yeah, I don't think I would want to be in an airport right now. I saw, where was it? It doesn't matter for the story, but wherever it was, there was just, I mean, lines and lines and lines of people, that were waiting to get on. And I mean, when you're in that situation and it's not so bad when you're leaving. I mean, waiting's never fun, but
right,
it's insanely, just frustrating when you get there and that line's there and you have to be somewhere. I mean,
yeah,
that's when just you're wondering, am I going to make my flight? Am I, it's just a nightmare. So
it is.
my heart is with those people because I have to tell you, I'm the one of these people that get to the airport much earlier than I'm supposed to. A lot of times, I'll go and grab a coffee or whatever the case may be, and I just kind of people watch or
Hmm.
charge my phone or whatever I need to do. But when you're having to do that because you're standing, waiting to go through the line, I mean, I can't even imagine.
It. A couple of weeks ago, I got to Fort Myers RSW, and it was one of my early morning. I was one of my 3 o'clock wake up calls, and I was walked into the airport at like 4:10 a.m. I think. And there's funny, this lady and I walked in about the same time, and we saw this gigantic line. We're going, oh man, I'm never going to make this flight.
Yeah.
And but I have TSA pre-check, and I also have clear, but they don't have clear at RSW, unfortunately. I hope when they get done to an airport remodel they're doing right now that they have room and added. I hope, but so I'm walking and we're both looking and we're talking to each other. She's this the line? I said, I hope not for TSA. And this guy heard us. It was an airport guy. uh, had his little thing on, and he goes, "Oh, TSA is right around the corner. The pre-check's right around the corner." And we looked at each other, and we both walked towards the corner. And I say, "Hey, go ahead." And we come around the corner, and it was like 20 people, not 4,000. Like,
Right.
oh, phew. So we got through, and I mean, I got through in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. Some of those people were probably still there, and that was a week ago. It was interesting, but um, but I've seen things. I've seen several people posting on YouTube or TikTok and travel and going, don't necessarily always believe everything because some of them are bad, bad, bad. But then I've had other people say, dude, I got here and got through in 15 minutes. It was not like, So I think it's airport to airport and time to time, right? Well, I know one thing, Wes. I was looking at a trip coming up in second week of April. I was tempted to do my, 3 o'clock wake up and get to the airport and leave early. And I thought to myself, if I really need to still get there super early just to make sure I can get through, I don't want to leave at 1 o'clock to get there. I don't want to get up at 1 o'clock. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice on this one. Not roll the dice. I'm going to retract my 3 o'clock thing. Instead of a wheels up at 5:15 a.m., I'm going to do more like an 8 or 8:15. Sacrifice 2-3 hours. But I'm pretty tough. But I think that I would probably create havoc at the airport if I got up at 3 o'clock and got there, and then I'm going to stand in line and miss my flight. I'd lose my mind over that, I think. So I don't want to go to jail. So I think it's probably best that I reschedule that just a little bit and not do it. But yeah, but that's been a good few weeks, and it's kind of good to be home and catch up on some stuff. And what have you been doing? What's been going on with you?
Lots of rehab, lots
Yeah.
of lots of doctor's appointments. After having 2 heart attacks, if the followers are new, there are just a bunch of things and hoops to jump through. I'm at 21 of 36 as of
Hmm.
Wednesday. So tomorrow will be 22, and so I'm definitely knocking them down pretty quick. But yeah, it's been a little nutty. So, but doing that, lots of AI, just lots of going through and just kind of zipping up things that were neglected for 2 months. I was in the hospital, that catching up on and doing that. But yeah, that's been pretty much it. I'd like to give you a better answer, but there's been just a lot of medical stuff.
Well, that's the answer. So when this cardio rehab is done, is that it? Or is there like a chance you might have to do more? Or
I may have to do something. Not that the people want to know this, but a lot of people, I guess, do as well. My left leg, the top of my thigh, all the way into my pelvis, and then up my back until just below my shoulder blades is numb.
really?
And so it's a weird feeling. So the
I
gates,
had something, but I'm going to leave that alone.
yeah. The gait of my walk is a little nutty, and standing is a little weird just because I can't feel the top of my leg. Yeah, so
Really?
it's just kind of weird. And then when you have it in your pelvis, it's just an odd feeling.
Hmm.
So there may, and I hope there's not. I hope it's home rehab. Where I have to just do the same repetitive, movements and stuff every day to kind of, fix it. But what I'm hoping it is chiropractic,
Hmm.
because the L2 and L3 and L1 area of your back, the discs that are in your back, they can cause a pinch that will cause that situation. The other thing that they think it could be is bursitis in my leg, but that wouldn't cause the pelvis and the top of the back, to be numb. So they're kind of leaning away from that. So it's a myriad of things that Randy. Not that again people want to know this, but laying in a hospital bed for 2 months is not good for your body. So they say that every day that you are in a hospital bed like that, it takes 3 days to recover. So being that I was in for 2 months, that translates to like what 6 months of rehab. So
Wow.
trying to get your body back. Yeah, and then of course not again something that I need to mention, but I will. I lost 70 pounds, and a good deal of it was muscle. So you just there's just
Lots of stuff.
so much stuff.
So you're telling me that you're a little bit busy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, and you know, those are things that, you know, it's. I'm gonna harken back to your post that you did, you know, at one of the gates that you were getting ready to leave, and you know, I don't have to go to rehab. I get to, and
Yes.
you know, and that is something that as a work at home guy, or in your case, you know, having your own business, it is a blessing to be able to go to those things, because there's a lot of people that don't get that opportunity. You know,
Yep.
so I think that being able to go and you know, go to the rehab, do the things that you know, are you know, in the middle of the day. I mean, it's kind of like when you're driving and you see a person golfing at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. You know, you're like, what does that guy do? You know, he's able to get
Hmm.
out there, being able to go to rehab and pick the time that I get to go, because if you can't go at, you know, 8 o'clock, you can call them and say, hey, I've got something at 8. Do you mind if I pop in on the 10 or something like that? So being able to go and do those things is a get to, not a have to, because it's
Yep.
getting my, number one, my body back in check and my muscles back, and all the
Hmm.
movement and all the things I need to do to be able to, you know, be back in society. You know, so I don't look at it as a, you know, oh, I gotta go. It's I get to go.
Yep.
And really, if you look at things, whether it's rehab or flying, or you know, standing in line for 2 hours or at the airport or whatever it is, you and I have had two instances, you know, where we've kind of got that epiphany. The one, you know, was something that we just mentioned. You know, we don't have to, we get to. But I'll harken back to something that'll make you smile, and that was you know, eating a piece of pie at one of the airport, the hotels you were staying at. You asked the young lady, does that come with ice cream? And she didn't say no. She goes, it could, you know.
Exactly.
And you and I went into a diatribe for, you know, 20 minutes over a couple Dr. Peppers, about
Yep.
how that attitude was so nice, because, you know, she didn't say immediately no. She didn't know, you know, but she said it could, you know,
Yes.
and she made it happen.
She
And
didn't.
do what
Go
now?
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I wanted to. I didn't want to step on you there. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the it could attitude, because if you're in a business and you have the opportunity to tell people what you can do rather than what you can't do, a lot of times, without saying no, you're able to kind of navigate into a situation that does end up being a yes.
Right.
It's not the yes they were looking for, but you know, you know, every Super Bowl and every Oscars, you can bet that every person is praying, you know, to be the one, you know, that
Right.
gets the trophy, gets the
Right.
award, gets whatever. Sometimes, you know, a prayer, the answer is no, but
Hmm.
something else pops up, you know,
Right.
you know, if it, you know, so I think that that attitude is such a winner. But while you have it in your head, tell me what you're going to say.
No, no. I was going to say is I like that. There's two things there. The I get to versus I've got to, or I have to. And that, I remember that so much. I was in Urban Myers, wasn't it? In Dublin, Ohio. Wasn't that where we was at, or was we someplace else?
We were actually in a Holiday Inn Express bar
We were. That's
in
right.
Lima.
That's right. That's right. But in case the Dixie chick watches, I didn't actually end up having the pie. I gave it to you. Cover for me, brother.
That's right.
Cover
I
for me,
gobbled
man.
it down. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But no, but you know that you're right. That's what it was. But those two things fall in place in all aspects of our life and in the business world. Um, the pat answer, if you will, so many times is no. That's not our policy. No, we don't do that. And maybe that's not the way you normally do it. But if a customer friend is asking you, why don't we think about here's the get to got to. The got to would be say no because we say no to that because we don't do that, whatever that is. But how about we get an opportunity to serve our customer better, to make a customer friend, and when you and kind of what you hit on is if you say it could, the fact that it could, now if she'd have come back and said, hey guys, I've asked the boss and we don't have ice cream, we just don't have it, I mean there's no way I
Right.
can do it, I'm not going to be mad because she's already made me happy with the fact that she went to try to do it. So it takes the sting out of it if it ends up being no, because there's times, and I've talked about this before many a times, there are times in business where that great big old 2-letter word no is the right answer. It's just the answer. It's just the answer. I mean, you know, in the materials world, can you still get that on that truck for me? Well, if the truck left an hour and a half ago, I love you, Wes, but the answer is still no.
Right.
I mean, what am I going to do with that, right? If that's just no. But because we think the truck leaves at 3 and you call it 2:47, nah, we can't do that. How about it could? Give me a minute. And then you go find out, hey, the truck's still at the dock. Do we have room? Yes. Could you slip these 3 boxes on this for me? I mean, it really help out a customer, right? There's a big difference, right? And I think that plays back into the world of sales and business is let's be a little more customer centric and let's just ask the question first, could we? Because in another 4 words that I like to use and is or 6 words, I guess. There's 3 words, and depending how you use them. It's like when we're presented with something, we too many times say why I can't. Why don't we ask it in a question form of why can't I? Same 3 words, but one is a definitive why I can't do it. How about we turn it into a question of, well, why can't I? And let's go investigate and see if I could do that. Still maybe no. And I talk, I love to talk about being a yes man. And since I started down this journey of some things that you and I've done together, and just a lot more things over the last 5 or 6 years, it got out of the realm of maybe just the same old way of doing certain things. But there's there's I'm a yes man when not in the old sense of whatever you want to hear. I'm going to say agree with you. But if you say, here's this opportunity, what do you think? Yes. Let's take a look at it until proven no. That does that make sense? It might still be
Sure.
no, but not no right off a hand. We're too quick to just, well, no, I don't want to do that. Well, maybe I do want to do that. Let's listen to what more. Tell me more, Wes. I'm not sure that so far in my little beady mind that sounds like a little goofy, and I don't think I want to do that. But the old Randy would have done that. The new Randy would say, well, Wes, tell me a little bit more. What are you thinking? And then all of a sudden you start, and then all of a sudden I ask a probing question or two, and all of a sudden the absolute no becomes, well, why can't I? Maybe we could. Maybe that does make sense, right? And so all of a sudden you've opened yourself up to so many opportunities, whether it's a any kind of relationship, sales relationships or family relationships, spiritual health and fitness, it doesn't matter, right? If you just open up your mind a little bit to say, yeah, maybe I could do that. And like you said, I get to is huge. I think the get to is just so huge.
Well, and
Uh,
I'll tell you, there's 3 situations that people are going to slide you into. One is they won't remember you. That's the, probably 95% of the waitresses and waiters you've ever had. You probably
mhm.
couldn't name, any of them and when I say name, I mean like bring up an idea about they were just doing their job and it was maybe mediocre to okay and they did it and you couldn't think of one thing that they did good or bad. But then there's 2 other things that are really bad to get into the Hall of Fame. It's they were so bad that you tell a story about it to everybody and you're like, I'll never go back there. It's not them. It's just that waitress or waiter was so bad, and they know that because they have them there. There can't be it just that was that one day. They're that bad, or they're that young lady that said it. It could be, and
Mhm.
you don't remember her name. Probably I don't.
I don't.
But I can see her in my mind. And I think the beauty of it is that now, I remember where we were exactly, like I can see it in my head. And I think that that's the person that if you're listening to this, you want to be. You want to be that it could person. And if you
Yes.
do that, what you're going to do is you're going to leave the conversation and people are going to talk about it the same way we are.
Yep.
So don't be the person they don't remember. Don't be the person that they remember because you're so bad. Be that it could person, because if you
Yep.
do that and you always leave a good impression on somebody, you're never going to lose. I mean, you may not win, but you're not going to lose. I
Yep.
mean, that's the beauty of it.
It is. It is. That is so spot on because you're right. You you can be as you said, three things completely unmemorable. Period.
Right.
That might be better than the other one, which would be memorable for the wrong reason, I
Right.
suppose. But why? You're still there, and you're still spending that certain amount of time on the clock, so to speak, right? Whatever that clock looks like. Why not be memorable for doing the right stuff? And you never know. All I know, and I can't quantify this. I'm not even sure it's quantifiable, but all I know is or believe. Like in faith, you believe. You just because you believe. I think that I believe that if you continue to do all you can do more than accept than it is expected, give more than you expect back, that somehow good stuff just finds its way back to you. Maybe
I,
not from that person, maybe not from in that instance, maybe not for 5 years, right? But somewhere, if you just keep throwing good on the good pile, that this compounds and just it's a better way to live life, and you get more out of it if you just you know give back, man. Try to help people if you can.
well, I'll give you two examples, Randy. You and I, have been talking about, the shoes pointing in the right direction, to the elevator. When you're walking through those halls in the morning, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, you probably have passed probably 10,000, maids, the
Hmm.
housekeeping people. And some of them, when you pass, they are invisible, to the world.
Right.
They don't make eye contact. They don't do anything. But and you might be that same person. You might walk by them and they are no different than plates sitting in the hallway. But there's a great version of that I love. And that is the person that when you walk by them, they tell you to have a great day or, thank you for staying here or whatever.
Hmm.
And the reverse of it is, you, as you're walking by, instead of making them invisible, tell them, thank you for what you're doing. I had a
Right.
great time staying here. And I can tell you something that is a fact. And that is when people do that, I've been in the service industry, in my younger days, and it makes you feel good. Yeah,
Hmm.
it might turn you around from, looking at the clock and thinking, oh my Lord, is this
Right.
day ever
Right.
going to move?
Yep.
To being like, okay, I just got recognized, and it might be the smallest thing in the world. I can tell you, my lovely daughter Carson,
Hmm.
if she sees a name tag on somebody and I'm with her, she knows I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, "Hey, Steve, how you
Hmm.
doing today?" And the reason why is because I just feel they deserve it.
Yep.
It's something that I'm going to ask, "How's your day going?" Whatever. And if they say good, I'm going to say, "Come on, Steve, you got to upgrade that to great." I can't have you just having a good day.
Right.
And it makes them smile,
Exactly.
and it may slow things down for a little bit, but you know what? I think that everybody around that hears it is in a better mood when you leave.
Well,
I mean, and it's better than the person that goes, make sure you put the eggs on the bottom, or whatever,
Right.
or on the
Right.
top, or whatever they're saying, or barking little orders at them like they're
Mm-hmm.
not human. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, or like like you're the king and they're your jester.
Right.
And there's people who do that.
Oh,
So
there is.
I just tried to always, again, it could. I mean, that's the attitude that if you can go through anything that you're doing and have that attitude, I'll tell you, Randy, we started off with sock talk. We ended it with it could, and it couldn't be better.
It couldn't be better. And the final thing I'll say, what you just said, which I think was spot on, is the other thing, you feel better too.
You do.
You just went from, if you're like trudging out of your hotel to head out, and it's 4:47 in the morning, and you're like late night because you were without people, or you're tired, you don't want to be doing this right now. It happens to us all, don't matter how gung-ho you are. But if you just get in the elevator and stare at the doors, you're mad, you're already hating the day. But if you just had that brief, hey, good morning, how are you? Blah blah, all of a sudden you can't help but feel just a little better.
Yeah.
And all it takes is that little bit better, and that transcends into the day, right? So, but it's good stuff, man. So listen, you probably need to run. I need to run. It's great to catch up again today. Sometimes I love these. We had a little malfunction with a situation with a guest today that couldn't get on today, which is fine. It happens.
It
No
happens.
biggie. Life moves on. But not that. I love these opportunities to just get on and riff with my brother Wes, man. We almost sound like we know. I mean, I don't know. Most people probably thought, how do you get 8 minutes about socks? But well, I might do a whole video on socks when I decide to lay them all out someday, and do a poll. Which ones do I keep? Which ones do I get rid of? Because
I think you keep them all. Dixie is probably giving me a slap through the computer, but yeah, just come up with a better way to store them, and
hey,
what she doesn't know won't hurt her.
I have a storage unit where I keep
Yeah.
samples and literature. I'll just put a box over there with them in, and every once in a while I'm over there getting some literature and getting some samples, or doing whatever I'm doing, getting ready for a trip, do some mailings, whatever it is. I'll just look through my box again and go, I think I'll take these home again.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and
Yeah.
what she doesn't know won't hurt her, right?
Yeah, don't make that into a hashtag, don't.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it as always, man. You're the best.
You're the best. I can't be it because you are.
Come on. Okay, we can be joint best.
Okay.
We're besties.
Something like that.
That's something like that. That's weird, but okay. We'll be besties. All right, man. Gotta run. Hey, you know what? Love you, big fella.
Right back at you.
You got it. And you know what? We love what we do and do what we love. That's what we're doing right now. And that's what everybody needs to do. And the last thing I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say? Go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow.
See you guys.
Are we froze? No, we don't. Just froze again. Let's do froze. You blink first. I saw you. I win.
All right.
All right,
Have
brother.
a great one, buddy.
See you, man.